Hello friends, very good morning everyone, and that notes etc will be uploaded sorry, yesterday I forgot to upload and it will be uploaded today. Already yesterday handwritten notes is uploaded, and the other aspects also, like that examples related to that circulars also, it will be uploaded today. Fine. Now we are left with exemptions in relation to transportation sector. We will quickly complete that and then move on to the case studies and past exam questions related to this. So please have a look into page number 109, page number 109, GST implications on transportation of passenger service. So what I did, transportation of goods and transportation of passengers, I have bifurcated into two. So transportation of goods service and transportation of passenger service. So first I am discussing transportation of passenger service. So passengers can be transported by airways, railways, waterways and roadways. Now by airways, if the passengers are embarking or terminating at northeastern states or Bagdogra located in West Bengal. So right now we are discussing transportation of passenger service. In that, by airways, so in that we have two exemptions. If your starting point of the journey or ending point of the journey is in northeastern state, then it is exempted. Same way, amount received from government towards viability gap funding. Okay, what is this viability gap funding? That is, listen carefully, there are many regional connectivity airports, and these regional connectivity airports means like small airports which are not in a position to become viable. So because many aircraft operators are not using that airport, they are not using that airport because people are not traveling in that. So government gives some amount to the aircraft operators to reduce the price. So aircraft operators will charge an amount to the passenger and remaining amount they will be receiving from the government. So which means they will receive consideration for the same service from two parties. First from the passenger, second from the government. Whatever consideration that they receive from the passenger will be taxable, but the consideration they receive from the government is exempted, and this exemption is for a period of 3 years. Please make note there. Embarking or terminating at northeastern state, Bagdogra and West Bengal, amount received from government towards viability gap funding with respect to regional connectivity airport for a period of 3 years. So please make note that. So how many years the exemption is available? 3 years the exemption is available, and thereafter exemption is not available. Again I am repeating, please listen. Transportation of passenger service is divided into 4, by airways, railways, roadways, waterways. Now we are taking airways first. Two exemptions are there. First exemption, if starting point or ending point of the journey is in northeastern states or Bagdogra in West Bengal, then the journey is exempted. Then second, amount received from government towards viability gap funding. What is this viability gap funding? So aircraft operators will be receiving two considerations. They will be receiving two considerations, and in the two considerations, one is from the passenger and the other is from the government. One is from passenger, another is from government. This scheme is also known as Udan scheme of government. Okay, so this amount received from the passenger will be taxable, whereas amount received from the government is exempted. Okay, so that is this, and this taxable under FCM or RCM? FCM only, not under RCM. So this is with respect to by airways. Are you getting this? Next, sir, any other transportation of passenger by airways will be taxable. Then look into railways. In case of railways, only 2 cases it is taxable. In all other cases, it will be exempted. First class, any first class, AC or non-AC. When it is first class, that can be AC or non-AC, and any AC coach. So that is first class, second class, even chair car, etc. Any AC coach will be taxable. Sir, generally first class is AC only, right sir? But in local trains, if you see, first class is not AC, so normal, but that will be called as first class. So GST is applicable on that. So that is about first class and any AC coach. Now other railways, like other general ticket or sleeper class or reservation, etc. So that will be exempted. Even metro rail, monorail and tramway is also exempted. Here metro, mono and tramway, let it be AC or what, non-AC, first class or second class, that is irrelevant. All metro, mono and tramway is exempted. So metro rail is understandable, monorail is bullet train, and tramway is a track. So on the track the train will go, so that is known as tramway, and this 3 is exempted whatever the case may be. So by airways we completed the discussion, 2 exemptions, other cases taxable. By railways, 2 cases taxable, in all other cases it is exempted. Then waterways, inland waterways, that is river, it is exempted. Transportation of passengers by inland waterways exempted. Transportation of passengers by coastal waters, coastal waters means seaways, but within India. Okay, within India, coastal waters, but this is within India here, within India. This coastal waters point is there na, that should be within India. So if it is for public transportation, sir, within India, why it will be through coastal waters, that is sea waters? Possible here. For example, if you take Kanyakumari, so we have the Vivekananda rock and Tiruvalluvar rock, that is part of India, and from Kanyakumari shore to that Vivekananda rock, people will be transported by boats, but we will be touching sea waters. So that is mainly for tourism purposes, that will be taxable. Then Andaman and Nicobar Islands are part of India only, and from India to Andaman and Nicobar Islands, people will be transported by vessel in sea water, and that is public transportation. So therefore it is exempted. Understood or not? So coastal waters within India, public transportation it is exempted. Tourism, predominantly it should be for tourism purpose, then it will be taxable. This is in case of waterways. Next, look into roadways, transportation of passengers by roadways. In that, metered cabs or auto rickshaws is fully exempted here. So metered cab and auto rickshaw, so cars with meters, so that and auto rickshaws are exempted. Then stage carriage, contract carriage. What is the difference, sir? See, stage carriage is a bus that stops at every stage of its journey, is known as stage carriage. On the contrary, contract carriage means vehicles which will be used for point to point transportation. Okay, so this contract carriages, if it is for hire or to, first we need to see stage carriage. So AC, non-AC. AC stage carriage is always taxable. Non-AC stage carriage is exempted. So local bus if you take, so local bus where you will be commuting, okay. So if it is AC bus, there will be GST on the ticket. If it is non-AC bus, there is no GST on the ticket. Then contract carriage, that is point to point travel. Suppose if you want to go from Chennai to Tiruchi, Chennai to Madurai, like that, so you will be traveling by bus, okay. So this bus can be AC, non-AC. If it is AC, no doubt it will be chargeable to GST. If it is non-AC, for what purpose the bus is given or the vehicle is given, for hire or for tourism purpose, then also it will be taxable, even though non-AC. Only when it is used for public transportation, it is exempted. So please see that. Contract carriage, AC, taxable under FCM. Non-AC, tourism or hire, again taxable. If it is for public transportation, it is exempted. Then radio taxi. Transportation of passengers by radio taxi. What is radio taxi from metered taxi? Meter taxi, meter will be there, but in radio taxi, radio will not be there. GPS technology. Through GPS technology, we measure the distance travel, and that is known as radio taxi. So this radio taxi will always be taxable. But who will pay GST? If it is only through e-commerce operator, that e-commerce operator will pay GST. If it is directly as well as through e-commerce operator, that is, if it is directly as well as through e-commerce operator, what will happen? So through e-commerce operator will pay. With respect to direct, who will pay? The supplier will pay. Understood or not? So please see this. E-commerce operator, through e-commerce operator taxable under RCM. So who will pay? E-commerce operator will pay. If it is direct, taxable under FCM. So who will pay? Supplier will pay. Understood? Then same way, motor cab, maxi cab including motorcycle. Through e-commerce operator will pay. Direct, then the supplier will pay. Then this renting already we discussed. Renting of a motor vehicle that can carry more than 12 passengers to a state road transport corporation is exempted. In any other case, it is taxable under FCM. So this chart is with respect to transportation of passenger service. Okay. So now what you need to do is that you need to go through this and try to remember this for exam, and for application purpose, I'll give you 30 different situations. In case of those 30 different situations, that is one assignment for you. Okay. I'll give you 30 different situations. In those 30 different situations, you need to answer whether it is taxable or exempted. If it is taxable, FCM or RCM. Okay. So that will be assignment for today. So today immediately after the class gets over, it will be uploaded and you can take up that assignment for today. Okay. So that is related to transportation of passenger service. Then look into transportation of goods service. See, transportation of goods, that is by airways. Transportation of goods by airways, it can be domestic or it can be international. If it is domestic, it will always be taxable. I am talking now about transportation of goods service, not passengers, goods. So if it is by airways, that too within India, always taxable. But if it is international, India to outside India exempted up to a date 39/2020, and outside India to India is also exempted. So both ways it is exempted. Transportation of goods by waterways. Waterways, if it is domestic, then waterways here, inland waters always exempted. So transportation of passengers by inland waterways is exempted. Even goods also exempted. Sir, what is this inland waterways? I told you, na, rivers. So for example, in Kerala, if you take, so people, there are many villages which are not connected with roads. So from one place to another place, people still travel by river. So that will be coming under transportation of passengers by inland waterways, which is exempted. Same way they may transport goods also by inland waterways, that is also exempted. Then transportation of goods within India by coastal waters. Transportation of goods within India by coastal waters means from one port in India to another port in India. For example, Surat port is in Gujarat, and from Surat port to Mumbai port, lot of goods will be transported. So therefore, this case, it is goods transported within India from a port in India to another port in India through seaways. So then we have exemption if it is specified goods. If it is other goods, it will be taxable under FCM. What are those specified goods? In GTA we discussed few specified goods. What are they? 6 specified goods we discussed. Agricultural produce, food grains including flours and pulses, milk and salt, then organic manure, relief material for natural or man-made disaster, then we have seen this defense and military equipment, then newspapers and magazines. So six goods we have seen now. Now to this 6, you add extra 1, railway equipments and materials, that will be 7 goods which is specified for transportation of goods by vessel within India, by coastal waters within India is exempted. So please look into the specified goods below. In GTA what we have discussed is 6 goods and here we have 7 goods. The extra is railway equipment and materials extra, but all others are also specified for goods transport agency. Then in case of other goods it is taxable under FCM. Then transportation of goods by international waterways means what? India to outside India, outside India to India. India to outside India is exempted like airways. Like airways, India to outside India is exempted up to 39/2020. But outside India to India is taxable, and whether it is FCM or RCM depends upon place of supply. That is not applicable for your exams, so leave it. You just remember that it is taxable, that is sufficient for the time being. Understood or not? So India to outside India exempted, outside India to India will be taxable under FCM or RCM, depends on place of supply. Then railways, if it is specified goods, it is exempted. Again, what are the specified goods for railways? Same specified goods. If it is any other goods, taxable under FCM. And GTA already we discussed. Roadways, GTA already we discussed. Then courier always taxable, and in any other cases it is exempted. In any other cases it is exempted. So please strike off taxable. In any other case it is exempted. So please strike off taxable. So what does it mean? It means that whenever we are transporting goods by roadways through a normal lorry, so we will ask one lorry to transport goods, we pay some money to that lorry driver, that is exempted. So only GTA and courier is taxable. All other transportation of goods serviced by roadways is exempted. Okay, so this is with respect to transportation of goods service. Then sir, the RCM concept come into picture when the service recipient is required to pay. See, here I just gave it RCM because in the previous case, just to identify that supplier will not be paying GST. So you can write, so e-commerce operator taxable, you can change that to ECO. You can change that to ECO. RCM, I mean to say, liability is not on the supplier. Okay. So here also same. So whenever it is supplied through ECO, so you can write taxable, liability to pay GST is on ECO. Okay, liability to pay GST is on ECO. Then, so this is about goods transportation and passenger transportation. Then, so we have completed the discussion related to transportation service, and as I told you that I will be giving you 30 different situations, and in those cases you need to write whether it is taxable or exempted. If it is taxable, whether it is FCM or RCM. Okay, so that you take for assignment, for practice. Now I am proceeding into the other areas. Look into these special points. There are many places where we have come across that turnover during the previous year does not exceed 20 lakhs or 10 lakhs. What are those places? First, services provided by government to business entity whose turnover during previous year does not exceed 20 lakhs or 10 lakhs. That is one place. Then services provided by individual advocate or firm of advocate to a business entity whose turnover during previous year does not exceed 20 lakhs or 10 lakhs. Then services provided by a senior advocate to a business entity whose turnover during previous year does not exceed 20 lakhs or 10 lakhs. Then even arbitral tribunal service, arbitrator services. These are the 4 places where we have come across turnover during the previous year does not exceed 20 lakhs or 10 lakhs. Now, wherever the 20 lakhs or 10 lakhs comes, you replace it with turnover during the previous year does not exceed threshold limit. Because the threshold limit is not now only 20 and 10, we have even 40 lakhs and it depends. So due to that reason, so we need to take turnover during the previous year does not exceed threshold limit. Please see. Consequent to the change in threshold limit for registration under GST to 40 lakhs, 20 lakhs and 10 lakhs, the above condition of turnover during the previous year does not exceed 20 or 10 is replaced to turnover up to such amount in the preceding financial year as it makes eligible for exemption from registration. Okay, that should be taken. Then whether maritime training institutions or educational institutions, what is this? See, these maritime educational institutions will be providing practical training to the marine engineers. So people who are doing marine engineering courses, they need to obtain a practical training certificate. So that practical training certificate will be given by this maritime training institutes. So they will be teaching them in simulation how to operate a ship, etc., and they will be giving a certificate. These people are private people, but they are recognized. They are recognized for the purpose of providing the training. So will they be coming under educational institutions, and consequently amount collected by them is exempted? Yes, because it is a part of curriculum and even they got recognized. So therefore it will be coming under education institution and money collected by them is exempted. So that is this circular here. Okay, it has been clarified that maritime training institutes and their training courses are approved by the Directorate General of Shipping. So it is approved by the Directorate General of Shipping, which are duly recognized under the provisions of Merchant Shipping Act. So therefore maritime training institutions under GST or educational institutions and the courses conducted by them are exempt under GST. Okay, so these are the various exemptions that we have, and let's complete the past exam questions related to this. Please see, decide with reason whether following independent services. See, still I have not discussed two aspects, that is services provided to government. Services provided by government I gave, services provided to government I did not discuss, and even there is one amendment, latest amendment applicable for November 20 exam related to upfront lease amount. Okay, so that 2 points we will discuss after completing these questions. Okay, so please see, decide with reasons whether the following independent services are exempt under CGST Act. Gokul Residents Welfare Association received 9,000 per month as contribution from each member. I think question number 1, 2 and 3 we completed. Yes, we completed. Look into question number 4 onwards. Sorry, we completed first 3 questions. Mr. Vicky Franklin, an unregistered famous author, received 3 crores of consideration from Shiv Bhavan Publications located in Indore for supply of service by way of temporary transfer of copyright related to original literary. Temporary transfer of copyright related to original literary. And he finished his work and make available the book to the publisher, but has not yet raised the invoice. Mr. Vicky Franklin is of the view that SBP is liable to pay tax under reverse charge on the services provided by him. SBP does not concur with his view and is not ready to deposit the tax under any circumstances. Examine whether the view of Vicky Franklin is correct. Further, if the view of Mr. Vicky Franklin is correct, what is the recourse available with Mr. Vicky Franklin to comply with the requirements of GST law, as SBP completely refused to deposit the tax? Now listen, in case of temporary transfer of copyright pertaining to original literary, that is books, novels, etc., then there are 2 options available, and the author being a supplier can choose any of the 2 options. Option 1, they can opt to pay GST under FCM, but once they opt to pay GST under FCM, they only should pay GST under FCM for a period of 1 year. And option 2, they may not pay GST under FCM and they will raise invoice to the recipient, that is publisher, and clearly mentioning that tax is payable under reverse charge. Then the recipient has to discharge the liability. Okay, so liability to pay GST is on recipient. In the present case, this is the provision. In the present case, what is happening? The view of Mr. Vicky Franklin is correct. He being an unregistered person cannot opt for payment of GST under FCM. So therefore the liability to pay GST is on recipient only, and that Shiv Bhavan Publications view is not correct. They need to pay GST under RCM and it is their liability to pay. What is the consequence if they are not at all paying tax? Then if Vicky Franklin wanted, he can register and he can pay GST under FCM. Okay, if he wants. Say this. The view of Mr. Vicky Franklin is correct. GST is payable under reverse charge in case of supply of services by an author by way of transferring or permitting the use or enjoyment of a copyright covered under 13(1)(a) relating to original literary, which is taxable in terms of reverse charge. Correct? What is the reverse charge notification? I asked you to remember 13/2017. Therefore, in the given case, person liable to pay tax is publisher. However, since SBP has completely refused to deposit the tax in the given transaction, Vicky Franklin has option to pay tax under forward charge. For the purpose, first he need to take registration, then he need to file a declaration that he wanted to opt to pay GST under FCM, and that will be for a period of 1 year. Then he need to mention in the invoice that he is only paying GST under FCM. Okay, so this is the answer for that question. This is an RTP 2020, May 2020 questionnaire. Then there are a few queries. Sir, for radio taxi, the service provider should cross the basic exemption limit for paying tax under FCM. Not only radio taxi, in all these cases, wherever we have discussed the taxable, so not that they will always pay tax. So after crossing the threshold limit, they need to pay tax unless otherwise compulsory registration is applicable to them. They need to pay GST after they register, means they cross the threshold limit. Okay, that is common for all, not only just for radio taxi. Can you please send the transportation of passengers chart with what you had written? The page is missing in my book. So if it is missing in your book, which means this book you did not buy, and you have I think you attended MT Educare's classes, I think. Okay, fine. So there in that book it missed, and I posted it in the group, I believe. So I don't know whether I have posted it or not, but I posted. I believe in that group I have posted. So if not also, I will post it again. Okay, don't worry. Now say this. Question number 5. State with reasons whether GST is payable in the following independent cases. Services provided to recognized sports body as a curator of national team. So if you remember, we discussed any services provided by a person as a player, referee, umpire, coach or team manager. These 5 people providing services to recognized sports body is exempted, correct? Now, is curator in the list of those 5? No. So curator is others. So therefore, it is taxable. Service provided to recognized sports body as a curator. Curator is not in the list of 5. Therefore, it will be taxable. Then next, number 2, services provided by way of transportation of passenger in metered cabs. So we discussed today, metered cabs and auto rickshaws, transportation of passenger is exempted. So it is fully exempted. Services by way of public conveniences such as provision of facilities of washrooms. So yesterday's discussion I told you, toilets, bathroom, etc. they collect some money for allowing you to use it, public toilets, and that money collected is fully exempted. Services provided by a player to a franchisee which is not a recognized sports body. Service provided by player, referee, umpire, coach, team manager only to a recognized sports body is exempted. To other than recognized sports body will be taxable. Okay. Then question number 6. I think already we discussed this question number 6 and question number 7. because these two questions were related to that renting and donations. We discussed this. Look into question number 8. Messrs Damodar Limited provides services by way of storage of seasonal fruits and vegetables in Bathinda, Punjab. The monthly rental for the godown is 15,000. Examine whether GST is payable by Messrs Damodar Limited. Fruits and vegetables are anyhow agricultural produce. So storage of that agricultural produce, any service in relation to agricultural produce is exempted. Even warehousing of that agricultural produce is exempted, and even other exemption is also there. Some list of specified goods when stored in a warehouse, that is also exempted. What are they? Fruits, vegetables, nuts, tea, coffee, sugar cane, jaggery, cereals, pulses, like that big list is there na? So that list also it is covered. Then therefore it is exempted here. Question number 9. Decide which person is liable to pay GST in the following independent cases where the recipient is located in the taxable territory. Ignore the aggregate turnover and exemption available. Mr. Raghu provided sponsorship services to Vivin Cricket Academy and LLP. So sponsorship services to Vivin Cricket Academy and LLP. So in this case, who will be liable to pay GST? So now Mr. Raghu provided sponsorship services means supplier is Raghu. So he is only organizing an event, and Vivin Cricket Academy is the one who is making the payment. That's why we should understand, because we cannot take Vivin Cricket Academy as the organizer and Mr. Raghu as the recipient. So we need to take reverse. So Raghu is organizing the event, because the word used is what? Sponsorship services to. So when the word used is sponsorship services to, which means Mr. Raghu is organizing the event and the one who is making payment is Vivin Cricket Academy. Okay. So therefore in this case the recipient is body, corporate or firm, and is it in relation to any sporting event, recognized sporting event? No, it is not related to any recognized sporting event. So therefore it will be taxable. And who will pay GST? Recipient, that is Vivin Cricket Academy, will pay GST because it's an LLP. So firm includes LLP, understood or not? Now again I am repeating. So in this case, now many students have made a mistake in that attempt. What they did, they assumed Vivin Cricket Academy as the supplier and Mr. Raghu as the recipient. As the recipient is individual, GST is payable by Vivin Cricket Academy under forward charge, like that they have written. Answer may be correct, but the explanation is wrong, because it is taxable only, but liability to pay GST is on Vivin Cricket Academy only under RCM. Here supplier is Mr. Raghu, understood? So he is organizing the event. Then Safe Trans, a goods transport agency, transported goods of Kapil & Co., a partnership firm which is not registered under GST. So in case of GTA services, 5 exemptions we discussed. In that one exemption, when the recipient is unregistered individual, HUF or AJP, then only it is exempted. What if it is unregistered partnership firm? Taxable, and 2 options are available, either to pay GST under FCM or RCM, but it is not exempted. When it is exempted? So only when the recipient is unregistered individual, HUF, AJP, not having a factory, then only it is exempted. But in this case, it will be chargeable to GST. And if GTA does not opt to pay GST under FCM, then the recipient Kapil & Co. is required to pay GST under RCM. Is it clear? Then, therefore, in the given case, Kapil is liable to pay GST under reverse charge if GTA does not opt to pay GST under FCM. Then okay, So if GTA, please write this, if GTA does not opt to pay GST under FCM. So that is related to question number 9. So this is with respect to that question number 9. And sir, in question number 4, Vicky Franklin won't the law penalize SBP for not paying GST? How can he escape, sir? He cannot escape. He need to pay GST. But is there any other way that GST can be paid? Yes, supplier can register and pay. That is the question. And suppose if SBP is not paying, Vicky Franklin is also not paying, then liability to pay GST is on SBP, and if they are not paying, then GST will be recovered from them. Okay. Then look into question number. Okay, one more question. So in the previous session, in case of exemption of performance artist, when the consideration exceeds 1,50,000, who is liable to pay GST? That performance artist, because they are only supplier, na? So they need to pay GST. Then look into question number 10. It's an RTP May 19 question. Examine whether supply of food and drink in the following independent cases is exempt from GST. Smart Kids is a play school located in Delhi. Smart Kids has outsourced the catering services for supply of food and drink in the canteen of play school to BTV Caterers, Delhi, for a consideration of 8 lakhs per annum. Now, play school and Smart Kids has outsourced the catering services for supply of food and drink in the canteen of play school to BTV Caterers, Delhi, for a consideration of 8 lakhs. Now, catering services provided to category 1 education institution. So category 1, 2, 3 services provided to education institution, 3 services, transportation service, catering service and security and housekeeping services to category 1 is exempted. So this is catering service to category 1 because play school is in category 1, therefore it is exempted here. Then Wellness Hospital, a clinical establishment located in Tirupati, is specialized in diabetic treatment. The hospital has its own canteen, Tasty Foods. The canteen serves the food and drink to the inpatients as advised by the doctors or nutritionists of the hospital. Apart from this, other patients who are not admitted or attendants or visitors of the inpatients also take food and drink from the canteen. Now, as this canteen is run by the hospital, so supply of food to their inpatients who are admitted there for treatment is exempted, and supply of food to outpatients who are not admitted and to visitors and staff etc. that will be taxable under forward charge. So already we discussed that point, even a chart we have written, so it's related to that. Then question number 11. Examine whether GST is payable in the following independent supply of services. Indiana Engineering College, a recognized educational institution, has conducted an entrance test examination for various courses run by it and charged the entrance fee from the applicant. Entrance exam fee is exempted, correct? So even though they are not their students, but entrance exam fee collected is exempted. Then Ramphal Lalji, an agriculturist, has stored sugarcane in a warehouse. He has taken fumigation services in the warehouse from Gupta Pest Control Company, for which he paid the consideration of 6,000 rupees. So fumigation in a warehouse to store agricultural produce, that is exempted service. So it is exempted there, that is with respect to number 2. Number 2, okay. Then next one, this is an MTP question, MTP November 2018 question. See this. Keshar Maharaj, a registered supplier, gave a classical dance performance in an auditorium. The consideration charged for the said performance is rupees 1,48,500. So it does not exceed 1,50,000. Is Keshar Maharaj liable to pay GST on the consideration received for the... Okay friends, there is some issue in the PDF reader, and due to that reason, please have a look into, you all have the book now, you please have a look into question number 12. Question number 12 up to question number 11 we have completed, and you have a look into question number 12. I will be looking into the question, but you will not be able to, so you please look into the book what you have. Kesar Maharaj, a registered supplier, gave a classical dance performance in an auditorium. The consideration charged for the said performance is 1,48,500. So it does not exceed 1,50,000. Is Kesar Maharaj liable to pay GST on the consideration received for the said performance if such performance is not for promotion of any product or service? No. Suppose if he is acting as a brand ambassador, then it will be chargeable to GST, whatever may be the amount. If yes, determine his GST liability. Okay, so there is no GST liability. What will be your answer if Kesar Maharaj is a brand ambassador of a food product and aforesaid performance is for performance of such food product? Then the entire 1,48,500, even though it does not exceed 1,50,000, will be chargeable to GST. Then the dance performance given by a Kesar Maharaj is not a classical performance but a contemporary Bollywood style dance performance. Then also it will be fully chargeable to GST, even though it may be a performance artist, because the performance artist exemption is available only when they are performing before the audience in classical or folk art form of music, dance and theatre. Suppose if they are performing western dance, we don't have the exemption, so that will be taxable. So dance performance given by Kesar Maharaj is not a classical dance performance but a contemporary Bollywood style performance, that will be taxable. Okay, then consideration charged by Kesar Maharaj for the classical performance is 1,60,000, then also it will be taxable. Is it clear? So entire 1,60,000 taxable, or only the amount exceeding 1,50,000 taxable? Entire 1,60,000 is taxable. So that is the answer for that. Next question, question number 13. Sungro Private Limited, a registered taxable person having gross receipts of 50 lakhs in the previous financial year, provides the following information relating to their receipts for the month of July 2018. So these are the receipts of them. Okay, so Sungro Private Limited, please see. Running a boarding school. So running a boarding school, school is exempted, correct or not? So up to 12th standard everything is exempted. Sir, it is a boarding school, let it be boarding school or other school, it is always exempted. Then fee from prospective employer for campus interview. See, I told you this, services are not received from students, faculty and staff. For campus interview, money will be received from the corporates. So therefore that will be taxable. So running a boarding school, fully exempted. Fee collected from prospective employees, taxable. Education services for obtaining the qualification recognized by law of foreign country. So recognized by law of foreign country, that will not be exempted, because education as a part of curriculum for a qualification recognized by Indian law is only exempted, but foreign country, that is not exempted. Then renting of furnished flats for temporary stay to different persons. Rent per day is less than 1,000 rupees per flat, exempted. Rent per day is less than 1,000, therefore it is exempted. Then conducting modular employable skill course approved by National Council of Vocational Training. See, National Council of Vocational Training modular employable skill course is an approved vocational education. If you remember, we have discussed the meaning of approved vocational education. So what does it mean? It means any course offered by ITI or ITC affiliated to NCVT or SCVT, or any module or employable skill course which is under Ministry of Skill Development. So therefore it is exempted. Conducting private tuitions, taxable here, fully taxable. Then running martial arts academy for young children, martial arts academy for young children, so training in any arts or culture is exempted. Conducting career counseling sessions, so this career counseling sessions, whether any exemption is there, nowhere we have exemption with respect to career counseling, but usually career counseling will be done free. Suppose if they charge any amount for that, it will be taxable. Is it clear or not? Because career counseling is nowhere covered under anywhere. Sir, it is to students only, na sir? No, it is not to their students. Career counseling is given for giving admissions to the students. After career counseling, by telling lot of lies, we will be admitting the students. The day when we admit the students, thereafter we provide the services. So that will be coming under services provided to the students. So before that, they are not our students, na? So wherefrom it will be coming under services provided to the students. So these are the various services provided which is taxable and exempted. So boarding school is exempted. Boarding school is exempted. Then boarding school is exempted. Then fee from prospective employers for campus interview, that will be taxable. Education service for obtaining the qualification recognized by law of foreign country, taxable. Renting of furnished flats for a temporary stay, exempted. Conducting modular employable, exempted. Private tuition, taxable. Martial arts, exempted. Conducting career counseling will be taxable. Okay. So here, conducting martial arts academy for young children, if you look into the answer, it is given as taxable. If you look into the answer, it is given as taxable here. 1,70,000, 3,10,000, that is taxable. Then 3 lakhs is taxable. Whereas running martial arts academy for young children, that is given as not exempt. Actually it is exempt. That is training in recreational arts, any arts, that is exempted. So please make the correction in the answer accordingly, that 55,000 is actually exempted. That 55,000 is actually exempted. This was the answer given in that MTP, but actually it is exempted. This is the answer given. So I have just given the answer, but I am just explaining that it is exempted. You know why it is exempted? We have one exemption. Services in relation to training or imparting training in recreational activities relating to arts or culture, sports, but that sport should be registered as a trust. Only sport should be registered as a trust, but here it is exempted. So please make the correction in your answer. It is exempted. Then what will be the revised value of supply? 1,70,000 plus 3,10,000 plus 3 lakhs plus 1,65,000. So that comes to 9,45,000. 9,45,000 will be taken as the value of supply. 9,45,000. And balance GST on that, that is 18%. That is 1,70,100. 1,70,100. So you need to make the change in the answer accordingly. Okay. Then one question, sir, in question number 9, can you explain second part, how it is compulsory registration? Which question number 9 here? Okay. See, question number 9 part 2. I did not say compulsory registration. Where I said compulsory registration here? What I said is that whenever the service are provided by a goods transport agency to a partnership firm, it is taxable. There are two options available. Option number 1, that GTA can pay, or option 2 recipient can pay. That's what I said. I did not tell anywhere in that about compulsory registration. Okay. So therefore they are required to pay GST only when GTA is not paying. About that only I discussed. Then look into question number 14. Messrs. Apna Bank Limited, a scheduled commercial bank, has furnished the following details for the month of August 2018. Extended housing loan to its customers 100 crores excluding GST. Processing fee collected from its customers on sanction of loan 20 crores. So extending housing loan to its customers, that is exempted. There is no GST on that. So housing loan they extended and they got money. So that is actually not a supply. Why it is not a supply? Transaction in money. So it is not a supply. Processing fee collected from its customers on sanction of loan. Interest is only exempted, but processing fee is not exempted. It will be taxable. Commission collected from its customers on bank guarantee. Commission collected from customers with respect to bank guarantee. Commission taxable. Is it interest? No. So therefore taxable. Then next, interest income on credit card. Generally interest income is exempted, but interest income on credit card will be taxable. Interest received on housing loan extended. Interest on loans advances exempted. Minimum balance charges, it is not interest, so taxable. So except interest on loan and that housing loan, all others are taxable. Okay. Now question number 15. Please have a look into that question number 15. Mr. Dheeraj, a registered supplier of service in Bangalore, Karnataka, has provided the following information for the month of February 2018. Intra-state taxable supply of service 5,20,000. Nowhere we have exemption, so therefore it will be taxable, but it is given as intra-state, so we need to take CGST, SGST. Legal fee paid to a lawyer located within the state 20,000. So legal fees, whenever we pay to a lawyer, on that we are not required to pay GST. The lawyer is required to pay GST. Is it correct? Now listen carefully. Legal fee paid to a lawyer located within the state. So definitely that will be taxable. We need to pay GST under reverse charge. It is an inward supply. We need to pay GST under reverse charge. Taxable but under RCM. So in the first case it is taxable under FCM. Rent paid to the state government for his office building. Again it is taxable under RCM. Received money for services towards conduct of examination in Laval University, Pune, recognized by law, being an interstate transaction. Conducting examination, admission to or conduct of examination to any category institution is exempted. So therefore it is exempted. So now on their outward supply they need to pay GST 5,20,000 into 9%, 9%. Check the answer. 5,20,000 into 9%, 9%. But with respect to that conduct of examination, that is entirely exempted. This is with respect to outward supply. Now inward supply. What is their inward supply? Two inward supplies they have. Legal fee paid to a lawyer and rent paid to state government. So in both the cases it is intra-state supply. How you know? Please see. Rent paid to state government for his office building. He is also located in the same state. That state is also state government, also same state. So intra-state. Legal fee paid to a lawyer located within the state. So it is intra-state supply. So CGST and SGST paid. First we need to pay GST under RCM. In case of RCM, remember, first we need to pay GST under RCM, and in the same month we can take it as ITC and adjust against the some other liability. So whatever GST that we pay under RCM can be availed as ITC and adjusted with some other liability, not with RCM liability. So related to RCM, you need to remember few important points here, okay? So please concentrate. Few important points related to RCM. Listen, that is, first of all, there is a supplier there is a supplier and recipient, and whenever supplier is making supply of goods or services, whenever supplier is making supply of goods or services which is covered under RCM, okay, so which is covered under RCM under section 9 subsection 3 or 9 subsection 4. So there is a supplier who is making supply of goods or services which is covered under RCM 9394, okay. So now in this case, when supplier is making some supply of goods or service which is covered under 93 or 94, who is liable to pay GST to government? The liability to pay GST to government is on recipient, GST payable by the recipient. Now this is normal, we know that this is what is known as reverse charge mechanism, correct or not? Reverse charge mechanism. Now related to this reverse charge mechanism, I am just giving you some points, some provisions, listen carefully. Now that recipient is having some input tax credit balance. Can the input tax credit balance be used for payment of GST under RCM? No. This GST, so every person will be having electronic credit ledger, electronic credit ledger and electronic cash ledger, ECRL, electronic credit ledger and electronic cash ledger. So electronic credit ledger contains the input tax credit balances what we take. So whatever ITC that we avail, it will be present in electronic credit ledger. And electronic cash ledger, whatever cash that we have deposited for payment of GST, that will be there in electronic cash ledger. Now for payment of GST, can we use electronic credit ledger? No. So this payment of GST is using only electronic cash ledger of the recipient. So electronic credit ledger cannot be used for payment of GST. So electronic credit ledger cannot be used for payment of GST under RCM. So which means, can input tax credit be used for payment of GST under RCM? No. So we cannot use electronic credit ledger balance, only we can use electronic cash ledger balance, okay. Then whatever GST paid under RCM, so first point, for payment of GST under RCM, we should use only the electronic cash ledger but not the credit ledger. Whatever this GST that is paid under RCM, can that be availed as ITC? Yes, that can be availed as ITC in the electronic credit ledger, provided the conditions are fulfilled. The conditions for availment of ITC is fulfilled. So GST payable can be availed as credit in the electronic credit ledger. Is it clear? That is the second point. Then third point. Now what we can do with that credit? We can adjust with payment of any other liability. Okay. So these are the two important points that we need to know. Next, how the recipient will know that he need to pay GST under RCM. So supplier will be raising invoice to the recipient. Supplier will be raising invoice to the recipient. In that invoice, clearly it is mentioned that tax is payable under RCM. So supplier will raise tax invoice. Supplier will raise tax invoice. In that tax invoice, clearly it is mentioned that tax is payable under RCM. Tax is payable under RCM. So that will be mentioned where in the tax invoice it will be mentioned. That is third point. So that the recipient will know that he need to pay GST under RCM. Now, supplier will be having some inward supplies, correct? So supplier will be having some inward supplies on that inward supplies, means supplier will be making some purchases on that inward supplies. Can supplier avail any ITC? No. So on this inward supplies, ITC not available to supplier. ITC not available to supplier. Why ITC not available to supplier? Because supply under RCM is treated as supply under RCM is treated as supply under RCM is treated as exempted supply, is treated as exempted supply for availment of ITC, for availment of ITC, only for availment of ITC, nothing else. For availment of ITC, for taking credit, at the time when you take credit, if your outward supply is covered under RCM, means it will be treated like exempted supply. Actually it is not exempted supply, but it will be treated as exempted supply, and ITC is not available. So that is point number 4. These are the 4 important points you need to remember related with RCM. Now in this context, please look into the answer. Please look into the answer. Whatever GST that we need to pay should be paid. Should be paid, and that can be taken as credit. That can be taken as credit. Is it clear or not? Now on the 20,000 and 30,000, we will be first paying GST 1,800, 2,700, and that can be taken as credit and adjusted against the GST payable on outward supplies. Are you getting this? So see this, first GST payable under outward supply 46,800, 46,800. Now on inward supply we pay GST 1,800, 2,700, like that. Now whatever is the GST under RCM, we need to always pay. So what is that? 1,800 plus 2,700, 4,500 we need to always pay. We cannot use the cash ledger balance. So we cannot use the credit ledger balance. But this can be adjusted with payment of GST under FCM. So what is the GST payable under FCM? 51,300, 51,300. For payment of that whatever 46,800, for that we can adjust. Again I am repeating, please carefully listen. Whatever GST that we need to pay under RCM, we need to actually pay. We cannot use the credit ledger balance. But whatever we have paid, that can be adjusted with the liability. Outward supply liability is there now, with that we can adjust. So which means first you pay 4545, that is separate. Now what is that you need to pay on outward supply? 46,800 na. From 46,800 you adjust this, that is 4,500, and remaining amount you need to pay. Got it? So that is the logic here. Then question number 16. Determine taxable value of supply under GST law with respect to each of the following independent services provided by registered person. Fee charged for yoga camp conducted by a charitable trust registered under section 12A of the Income Tax Act. Gross amount charged is 50,000. Yoga, advancement of yoga is a charitable activity. So as it is a charitable activity, therefore amount collected towards it is exempted. It is given in the list of charitable activities. Public health, then advancement of spirituality, religion, yoga, it is there. So therefore this 50,000 is exempted. Amount charged by business correspondent from banking company for the services provided to rural area branch with respect to savings bank account. So business correspondent service or business facilitator service to rural area branch, it is exempted. Then amount charged by cord blood bank for preservation of stem cells. So under medical services we discussed, it is exempted. Then amount charged for service provided by commentator. Commentator is in the list of 5, that is player, referee, umpire, coach, team manager. Commentator is not there, therefore it is taxable. Only that last one is taxable, 5,20,000. Okay. So with this we completed all exemptions, past exam questions. Okay. Then now we are having some services provided to government which I have not given in this. So I am writing it separately. So please have a look into it. Services provided to government. What we have discussed is services provided by government and services provided to government, because not many questions were asked on that. So that's the reason why I did not give it in the That's It book, summary book, but I am just discussing it with you. So services provided to government here, to government, not by government, to government. We have few exemptions that we are discussing, that is services provided to government by GSTIN. So GSTN is there na, Goods and Services Tax Network. So GSTN provides services to government. So this GST network is not government but a 100% government owned entity. So GSTN is a 100% government owned entity. GSTN is a 100% government owned entity, and whatever services that are provided by GSTN is exempted to government. So this is services provided to government, that is exempted. Next one, that is PDS, Public Distribution System. Commission or margin earned under Public Distribution System, PDS. Commission or margin earned under Public Distribution System. What is that public distribution system? That is ration shops. So people will be appointed to distribute the goods, necessities, rice, etc. So for that they will be paid commission or margin. So they are providing services to government. So that is exempted. Then next, so activities of municipality or gram panchayat. Activities of municipality or gram panchayat. What is that? Listen carefully. Laying down roads is the job of the municipality. Laying down roads in the streets. In the street they will lay down cement road, that will be the job of the municipality. Now what they did, they have laid down the roads. For that they will outsource it to one person, one contractor. That contractor will be providing services, correct? So that services provided by the contractor by laying down the roads to the municipality or gram panchayat, that is exempted. Is it clear or not? So actually municipality or gram panchayat has to do some activities, but they will be outsourcing it to some other person. That some other person will be providing services to municipality or gram panchayat, okay? So example we will see, services provided by cleanup Private Limited to Chennai Municipal Corporation. For cleaning or removing household waste. What is that? See, generally this household waste is there, garbage. So this will be dumped into some garbage cans, and they will be providing, what these people will do, they will bring one lorry and they will put that into a lorry and they will be taking it far away and they will be dumping it. So that is an example of services provided to government by way of municipality or gram panchayat services. And then we have composite supply. Last exemption, listen carefully. composite supply of goods or services. Composite supply involving goods and services. Composite supply involving goods or services. Goods or services. Okay, where the value of goods does not exceed 25% of total value, where the value of goods does not exceed 25% of the total value, and these are provided to government. These are provided to government in relation to activities entrusted to them by the constitution. That is, that municipality or gram panchayat is there na. So here it is purely services, and here it is composite supply of goods and services wherein the value does not exceed 25% of the total value. These are the services provided by the government which is exempted. Understood? So this we need to remember. Then one more exemption, that is, there is a State Industrial Development Corporation. State Industrial Development Corporation. State Industrial Development Corporation. Okay. State Industrial Development Corporation, SIDC. State Industrial Development Corporation, or an entity in which central government or state government or union territory has invested greater than 51%, okay. So greater than or equal to 51%. So please listen carefully. There is a State Industrial Development Corporation or entity wherein central government, state government or union territory has invested 51% or more, and now they are giving a plot of land, industrial plot on lease. What lease? Long-term lease to industrial units. Please concentrate. To industrial units, they are giving industrial plot on lease. What lease? Long-term lease. Long-term lease of industrial plot. What is the meaning of long-term lease? Long-term lease means lease for a period greater than or equal to 30 years is known as long-term lease. Lease for a period greater than or equals to 30 years is known as long-term lease, and long-term lease of industrial plot to industrial units, or they have given lease to developers of infra for financial business. Developers of infra for financial business, some plots are given. Okay, long-term lease of plots. So these two are exempted. Okay, these two are exempted. So long-term lease of plot or long-term lease of industrial plots to industrial units are developers of infra for financial business. Okay, so these two are exempted. Now this 51% is now amended to bring 20%. So even if that central government, state government or union territory has invested 20% or more in the entity, that is sufficient. So this is that amendment here. Okay. So these are the two amendments, extra amendments related to that exemptions. So this is not an amendment, this was already there, and this is an extra point. So these two are the extra points into the discussion. With that we have completed exemptions. Okay. Then in case of RCM suppliers, supplier cannot take ITC, but recipient can take ITC. Yes, recipient can take ITC. Sir, that 100 days job opportunity, that roadside grass plucking is also activities of municipality. Yes, that is also activities of the municipalities. Okay. So this is with respect to exemptions here. We completed this. Okay. And so with this I am stopping for today. I told you that actually today I have another session. That's the reason why. And I am starting a new topic on Monday. So today half an hour it went waste in the issue itself. So therefore on Monday onwards I will continue the class. And so we have completed so far 3 topics, that is introduction to GST, taxable event under GST and exemptions. You go through the questions related to that and the assignment etc. that I will share today. Okay, fine. So if you have any doubts related to today's session, you can ask, even previous whatever doubts that you have. Okay, thank you.